Well, in London as well, around 30 to 40 Khalistanis gathered outside the Indian High Commission last evening. This comes at a time when there is a major uptick in attacks by Khalistani extremists, not just in the UK, but in other countries as well. Security was beefed up in the wake of a threat to attack Indian diplomats, and the protest passed off without any incident. The reason for this Khalistani onslaught is to protest against the death of 3 Khalistani terrorists across Canada, UK and Pakistan, which has rattled the Pak-ISI terrorist nexus. They've blamed India for these deaths and called for retributive action to energize their cadre. Now, the reason why this is disturbing is because a pattern is now emerging of attack on symbols of India abroad by Khalistani mobs. Not just consulates, Indian envoys are also on the hit list. Posters with faces of Indian envoys are being circulated in Toronto, in US as well. But India has always on global stages talked tough against Khalistani elements. In fact, NSA Ajit Doval just on Friday told his UK counterpart to deport Khalistani terrorists who have threatened Indian diplomats. Now we have Rishabh joining us live with more details. Before that, we have some breaking inputs coming in as well. Indians corner Khalistani thugs. These are reports coming in from Canada, where there was a protest versus protest situation, a face-off on the streets of Toronto. Indian diaspora lined up on the streets, waving the tricolour and sending out a message that they stand strongly with India, while the Khalistani elements were protesting. So right across the street were the Indian diaspora members waving the tricolour. In these visuals, it's apparent how the Indian diaspora in Canada, in fact, came out in large numbers to protest against the Khalistani elements, who in fact are responsible for the number of attacks that have taken place on the Indian embassy, the High Commission as well in London, and the manner in which the diplomats have been attacked and are on the hit list of the Khalistani elements. We have Rishabh joining us with more details. Very inspiring visuals, I would say, coming in from Toronto. Of course, the Khalistani elements were protesting, and on the other hand, you can see members of the Indian diaspora who came out in large numbers on the streets with the tricolour, sending out a very clear message that we stand with India.
So there are two things. The pro-Khalistan protesters came out after a call was given, and we have seen the posters, the videos being circulated on social media, and that could gather around 30, 40 pro-Khalistan members to come out and carry out a protest. On the other hand, the Indian diaspora came out voluntarily to the message is sent that it is not that everyone in Canada is pro-Khalistan, and when the numbers were compared, the anti-Khalistan and pro-India protesters cornered the pro-Khalistanis, but B ensured that a message is sent out that even for the vote bank politics, if the local politicians want to bang on Khalistanis, that is not going to work for them. And that was on display on the streets of Toronto, where in front of the consulate, the Indian consulate, the Indian diaspora with Tricolour came out and sent out a very loud and clear message that the pro-Khalistanis are not to be taken seriously. They are just creating propaganda and nothing else.
Absolutely. And in the latest that we are picking up, NSA Ajit Doval in fact has asked that UK deport the Khalistani elements who are threatening the diplomats, the envoys in UK. And in fact, we have seen these protests now intensify. They are becoming violent.